What? All right. So Aaron, what have you been up to for the? I haven't seen you for a couple years now. What have you been up to?
I've been working at a larger, a medium-sized enterprise, around 16,000 people. And I've been embedded in their training organization. I was hired in as as an internal consultant to kind of fix their e-learning. They had a lot of asynchronous e-learning. It didn't work well with their LMS. They didn't really know what they were dealing with. They didn't know how to administer their LMS, from a technical standpoint. So my background with SCORM and LMSs, things like that, it took me about a month or so to get them under control, and then I had to figure out what else I wanted to do to keep a job. What I did was I brought their development mostly in-house, and that saved the organization a couple $100,000 a year, while increasing the amount of e-learning that they were able to produce. So I was dealing with a team of around 7 or 8 instructional designers. We brought in tools like Articulate, Captivate, Flash. None of them are actual developers or technically that savvy, but they know plenty to be dangerous. And in the process, in that time, we've also developed a quality process for testing for LMS integration with the content they produce. So it passes a series of tests going from development environment to a QA environment to production, with a life cycle, a content life cycle plan, things like that. And we got to a point at the end of last year where everything was really quite smooth, which begged the question, what the hell am I supposed to do?
Why do you think they invited you?
Well, I'm going to guess...
Other than you're such a nice guy.
Well, in some ways, I think that's part of it, but and that may not actually be too far from the truth. But I think Mark Ohlert and I connected in Pensacola in the end of October of last year at a LETC big powwow meeting. LETC is the organization that was originally going to steward SCORM from the DoD and the ADL, and now they're really invested. We've switched gears, and now it's really invested in interoperability and kind of acting as a lobby and a liaison between standards bodies and vendors and government agencies that are kind of fostering them. And at that meeting, Mark and I really connected a lot on a lot of issues. I mean, we had been talking to each other on Twitter for a very long time, for months. And it just seemed to me like, and him, that we had a lot of things in common as far as our interest in social media and collaboration and the need to move e-learning from an asynchronous person against server state to something much broader. Even though we're not really into the pedagogy, we know enough to know that what we got going on right now isn't adequate to the needs of organizations. So I think that's what got me invited to this conference, because the organizers, I don't think, really knew who I was at all. And even if they do know me, most of the time I'm recognized for SCORM work. So this is really quite a departure.
Cool. And what interested you about the conference? What said to you, oh man, all right, so they want me there, and this is someplace I really got to go, because...
Well,
what were you going to get out of it?
Well, what I would say not knowing much about the conference before I went. As soon as they invited me and I knew who was inviting me, I said yes. I mean, I'm always interested in, I'm interested in free conferences. I mean, who wouldn't be? So, but when I started seeing who was going to be asked to speak, I knew it was something really special. I mean, Clark Quinn wrote a book called Engaging Learning, and his take on instructional design was very nuanced, but it was really, really precise. And he wasn't speaking to instructional designers. He was speaking to anyone who wanted to build really good e-learning, like asynchronous e-learning. And I would say that that was the backbone of the instructional design style that we took in place when I left my job at CTC and ADL. And I carried that. I still have that book to this day. And so when I saw that I was going to be speaking, basically at the exact same time as him, that told me, I'm like, wow. I mean, this must be pretty special if Clark Wynn's going to show up. And then, seeing that the keynote speakers were guys like Vint Cerf and Will Wright, you're like, this is a huge nerd opportunity. And then let alone that it started to filter in that people that I had been talking with all for like the last year and a half on Twitter about learning technology and about social media's place in it. All of them were going to just at least attend, if not speak. I started getting. I wanted to do better than just your average presentation at that point.